Today I up by being forgetful and nearly destroying my marriage. Obligatory. This happened in February. My wife went away for 4 nights and I cocooned with a bunch of beers, bottle of whiskey. My mother's favorite was her anniversary that weekend, so was toasting her, and also Red Dead Redemption 2, of which I clocked up 44 hours of over the 4 days. She arrived home on a Monday afternoon and soon after went up to our bedroom. Few minutes later she comes downstairs looking like she is in shock. She calls me over and asks me, "What is this?" whilst holding out her palm, and in her hand is a lady's earring. My wife does not have her ears pierced. She calmly explains, though I could see the stress in her expression, that this was found on the floor at her side of the bed. She had stepped on it whilst getting changed. I firstly pawned it off, nothing to do with me, yada yada, and I go to turn away. Then the penny drops. She's going to think I had another woman in our bed over the weekend. I really had no idea how that earring got there. In no way, shape or form could it have gotten there. I was alone all weekend. Now thank the stars my wife is a reasonable human being. She listened to me, looked deep into my eyes as I swore blind I have not cheated on her. If this had occurred in any previous relationship, that girl would have made me homeless and destroyed everything I own. Over the following hours of deep conversation, if I had done anything at all that weekend I would have admitted it, her calm cool interrogation technique being very effective. It was not an easy evening. A lot of damage to trust was done due to this unfathomable earring. Though somewhere in the deep recesses of my mind, I recognized it. No way could I say this to my wife though, as this would just bring more suspicion on me. The next day at work was not an easy one for either of us. This item of jewelry was both on our minds, tearing up the trust we had built over 10 years together. Fair enough, she says she believed me, but we both knew the trust is hanging on by a thread. Eventually that afternoon, for some reason or another, I decided to review my online purchases over the years. Yeah, I was clutching at straws, but what else could I do? Eventually I got to my Etsy account, one which I only use to buy her things as she tags jewelry she likes. And there it was. I bought them for her years ago, as I had forgotten then that she does not have her ears pierced. I cannot describe the feeling of relief I felt at that moment. Marriage saved. Proof I'm not a cheat right there. I screenshot the purchase and send it to her on WhatsApp. She was in a meeting with her boss when she looked at the message and immediately broke down into a flood of relief tears. So thank you Etsy for leaving the photos up of old purchases. You potentially rescued my marriage from going into a spiral of mistrust and stress. And a big F you to the universe for choosing that time and place for making that earring appear to test my marriage like it's never been tested before and hopefully never will again. Too long. Didn't read. I'm an idiot for forgetting my wife does not have her ears pierced. Earrings I bought for her years ago reappear at worst time and place ever to make me look like I cheated. Today I up by getting my bank accounts drained by a scammer. This happened a few years ago, but still stings. I'm not rich by any means, but I'm fairly good with my money. So at this time I had my rent, bills, and grocery money in my bank account, probably about $2,000, but not much more than that unfortunately, and I had just gotten a new credit card with an $8,000 limit from my bank. I'm not the brightest bulb in the pack, but I'm pretty good at spotting and not falling for most scams. This one was just a matter of bad timing. My wife and I had just found out that we were expecting our first child together. We told her sister, and she was super excited for us. She said she wanted to buy us a bunch of clothes/toys. Only problem is she lives on the other side of the country. So she said she would send her some money instead, and we can buy the clothes/toys for her once we found out the sex of the baby. Sure enough, that night my wife gets an email saying deposit your money. My wife doesn't have online banking, but I do, so I offered to deposit it into my account for her. It's all both of our money anyways. I click the link and put in my banking info and nothing. I've done online transfers a few times, and usually it'll ask you a security question and which account you want to deposit the money into, etc. But this just went to a blank white page. I figured I messed something up, so I closed the page and tried again, and same thing. I checked my account, and nothing had been deposited into my account. I told my wife to message her sister and ask if she had received an email about an issue with the transfer or something. My wife messaged her, and her sister said she hadn't sent anything yet. She was going to send it in the morning. It took my brain a second to realize what had happened. I checked my accounts again, and they all read $0. All of my money was gone. They had even maxed out my credit card by transferring the available credit into my accounts, leaving me with literally no money and thousands of dollars in debt, with a baby on the way. Luckily for me, the scammers had a review too. My brother messaged me after a few minutes and asked why are you trying to send me $10,000? Apparently he had received an e-transfer from my account for $10,000. I quickly looked through my e-transfers, and it seems the scammers had created a new contact with the same name as my brother's, but with their email. But when they went to send themselves the money, they clicked on his name and not theirs. So thankfully all of my money went to my brother and not them. I told him what had happened and asked him not to accept or deny it until I got things sorted out at the bank. I spent the next morning at the bank resetting and closing all of my accounts and passwords. But luckily my brother was able to refuse the money, and it went back into my accounts and credit cards. All I had to pay was a $100 fee for the interest on my credit cards. Thank God the scammers were as dumb as me, lol. Too long, didn't read. I got a scam email at the same time I was supposed to get an actual money transfer, and they drained my accounts. Today I up by getting an ancestry DNA test done. So I have read many fudge ups and horror stories from people who have done these mail-in DNA tests and have made shocking discoveries about their family. But I never thought in 100 years it would happen to me. I recently had an ancestry DNA test done because my boyfriend had gotten them for himself and me as a gift. Well, I finally got the results back, and I had a number of close matches with people I had never heard of and don't know. I mean, like super close. Like we share a huge amount of DNA. So today I get a message from one of them saying hi and asking if my parents ever used a sperm donor. I'm like, not that I know of. She then goes on to say she has 8 half siblings, now 9 with me, and that they all share the same biological father from a sperm donor. She says she's not sure how I would approach my parents about this, or if I even want to, and also mentions that all of these individuals' families are from the same area in my state, and they even have a group chat where they all talk to each other often. She says they are all super great people. So I'm just utterly confused at this point, and my mind is completely blowing up at the idea that my father, who I have known my whole life as my dad and biological parent, is not my actual father. I then proceeded to text my parents in a group with a screenshot of that person's message from Ancestry DNA, and I'm like, is there something you guys would like to tell me? So after about 15 minutes my mom calls me, and at first she's like, wait, what was that message? And who sent it? Like she's acting all confused. But then after I explain, she just sighs and is like, are you sitting down? I'm like, what the duck? Well, long story short, when my parents were first trying for a kid, they couldn't get pregnant because my dad had some kind of medical issue. They tried all kinds of fertility treatments but none would work. After they learned what was wrong with my dad, he got surgery, but at the same time they were also using a sperm donor in an attempt to conceive. My mom said when they were having these donor treatments or whatever, they would be intimate. Gross, I don't wanna think about it at the same time. So they wouldn't know if they conceived, whether it would be from my dad or the sperm donor. And apparently they didn't want to know. Well, the surgery, my dad had corrected his issue and they were able to naturally have kids after. So my 2 younger brothers are definitely my dad's. But yep, my mom said her and my dad always knew there was a chance, but they never wanted to know. And now both they and I know I'm a sperm donor child. This definitely doesn't change anything about how I feel about my parents or my dad or our relationship. But it's certainly a massive shock. I never thought I would be in one of these situations. So there you have it, folks. That's how my day is going. But I guess I will continue to talk to the woman who is my half sibling. And I'm even thinking about joining this group chat to get to know my, as far as I know right now, 8 other half siblings. My head is still spinning, and I have even cried a little. But I think it is still going to take a while to come to terms with this newfound discovery. Too long, didn't read, had an ancestry DNA test done, found out my dad is not my real father and I'm the child of a sperm donor. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more.